Dawn was breaking when Na-young finally stabilized. Jiho had converted a storage room into a secure patient area, hidden from casual observation. As he monitored her vital signs, so different from human norms, but developing a pattern he could understand, he wondered what series of events had led a princess to flee her kingdom and crash land on Earth. Na-young stirred, her silver eyes focusing on him. "You saved my life," she said softly, "knowing nothing about me or the danger you put yourself in." "Why?" "I'm a doctor," Jiho replied simply. "Helping people is what I do. Human or not, princess or not." She smiled weakly. "Then you are rare indeed, Dr. Han Jiho. In my world, such kindness usually comes with a price." Above them, distant engines rumbled as ships entered Earth's atmosphere. Na-young tensed, but Jiho checked the reinforced blinds were closed. Whatever she was running from, his clinic would remain a sanctuary for as long as she needed it. The days following Princess Na-young's crash landing tested both patient and doctor. Dr. Han Jiho discovered that treating an alien royal brought unique challenges, not all of them medical. Na-young initially refused to let him examine her wounds, insisting it was against royal protocol for a commoner to touch her. "Your Highness," Jiho said patiently, "infection doesn't care about royal protocols. Please let me help." She watched him with those striking silver eyes, her lavender skin pale from blood loss. In the Stellar Kingdom, royal medicine is practiced only by certified court physicians who train for decades in our biology. Jiho continued preparing his supplies, speaking as he worked. "Well, we're not in the Stellar Kingdom, and I'm the only doctor you've got. I promise to be professional and careful." After a long moment, Na-young nodded. Her resistance crumbled in the face of pain and necessity. Jiho worked methodically, documenting every difference he discovered between human and Stellar Kingdom anatomy. Her cellular structure was more crystalline than organic, and her silver blood seemed to carry properties he'd never seen before. The princess watched with growing interest as he adapted his treatments. When traditional antibiotics proved ineffective, he noticed her blood's reaction to silver and developed a new solution using colloidal silver. Her wounds began healing faster after that. "You're quite resourceful for a primitive world doctor," she remarked one evening, then immediately looked embarrassed. "I apologize. That was very rude of me." Jiho laughed as he changed her bandages. "No offense taken. I imagine Earth must seem primitive compared to your kingdom." "Different," she corrected. "Not primitive. Your solutions are creative. Court physicians would never think to experiment as you do. Everything must follow ancient procedures." As days passed, Na-young began asking questions about Earth medicine. Jiho explained everything he did, from basic first aid to complex treatments. She was particularly fascinated by how humans had developed medicine without access to advanced technology. "In my world," she explained, "everything is automated. Machines diagnose and treat. Doctors barely touch patients anymore. But you use your hands, your mind, your instincts." Their conversations extended beyond medicine. Na-young spoke of her life in the Stellar Kingdom, of suffocating traditions and expectations. Jiho shared stories about his small-town practice, his patience, and the simple joy of helping others. One night, while checking her healing wounds, Jiho noticed tears in her silver eyes. "Are you in pain?" he asked, immediately concerned. "No," she whispered. "It's just, you're the first person in my life who has treated me as me. Not as Princess Na-young, not as a vessel for royal blood, just as a person who needed help." The admission hung in the air between them. Jiho continued his work, giving her a moment to compose herself. "That's all any of us are in the end," he said quietly. "Just people trying our best." Their routine was interrupted one morning by the sound of hovering vehicles outside the clinic. Na-young's face filled with fear, but Jiho calmly drew the blinds and moved her to the secure room he'd prepared. "They're getting closer," she whispered. The royal guards will tear this planet apart to find me. He did so, feeling a strange tingling where his feet touched the glowing symbols. Sun Mai watched from the doorway, keeping guard while witnessing this ancient ritual. This will hurt, Nayoung warned. My blood must merge with yours completely. Are you sure? Jiho nodded. I'm sure. Nayoung took a ceremonial knife from her recovered belongings. The blade gleamed with strange markings as she cut her palm, letting silver blood pool in her cupped hand. She spoke words in her ancient language, and the blood began to move on its own, forming complex patterns in the air. Once given, this gift cannot be taken back, she continued. You will heal faster than any human. Age will touch you very slowly. And, she hesitated, you'll carry a piece of my power, able to help others in ways your medicine never could. Jiho extended his hand. I understand. The ritual itself was both beautiful and painful. Nayoung's blood flowed through the air like liquid starlight, entering Jiho's body through his skin. He gasped as foreign power coursed through his veins, changing him at the cellular level. Sun Mai rushed to support him as he stumbled, but Nayoung warned her back. Don't interrupt the bond. It must complete naturally. The pain peaked, and Jiho felt like his body was being unmade and reformed. Through it all, Nayoung's voice anchored him, speaking ancient words that seemed to guide the transformation. When it finally ended, Jiho stood straighter, feeling strength he'd never known. His senses seemed sharper, and he could feel a new awareness of the life around him. Plants, animals, even the bacteria in the air. Look at your hand, Nayoung said softly. Jiho raised his palm, watching in amazement as a small cut from earlier healed completely in seconds. But more than that, he could feel the potential to share this healing with others. You've given me your power, he asked in wonder. A portion of it. Enough to help others, to heal in ways your medicine couldn't dream of. But more importantly, she smiled, I've proven it can be done. The royal houses can no longer claim this power must stay pure. Suddenly, searchlights flooded the building. Commander Kita's voice boomed from outside. Princess Nayoung, we have you surrounded. Surrender now. Nayoung grabbed Jiho's hands. Listen carefully. The power will grow stronger over time. Use it wisely. Use it kindly. Show my people that this gift was meant to be shared. What about you? Sun Mai asked from the doorway. I have a plan, but you both need to leave now. Go out the back. They're looking for my energy signature. They won't notice you. Jiho could feel the new power humming in his veins, wanting to help, to heal. I can't just leave you. You're not leaving me, Nayoung said firmly. You're carrying my gift into the world. That's more important than any one person, even a princess. More ships were arriving, their lights turning night to day. Sun Mai pulled at Jiho's arm, knowing they had only moments to escape. Thank you, Nayoung said softly, for everything. As they slipped out the back door into the darkness, Jiho looked back one last time. Nayoung stood proud in the mining office, silver blood still glowing around her, ready to face whatever came next. The gift of her blood pulsed inside him, a permanent connection to a princess who dared to break 1,000 years of tradition. Whatever happened next, that legacy would live on through him, healing and helping in ways the royal houses never imagined. 1 year after Nayoung's gift, Jiho's small clinic had gained an unusual reputation. People came from all over Montana with injuries and illnesses that other doctors had deemed hopeless. They left healed, though few understood exactly how. Jiho worked carefully, using his enhanced ability subtly. A touch here, a small blood transfer there, always masked by conventional medical procedures. Sun Li helped maintain their secret, managing records and ensuring nothing appeared too miraculous. News arrived through strange channels, encrypted messages hidden in satellite signals, whispers carried by visiting stars. Nayoung had not surrendered that night. Instead, she'd revealed Commander Kita's secret correspondence with rebel factions, turning the tables on her pursuers. The commander now faced trial for treason, while Ne Young had gained powerful allies in the Stellar Kingdom's council. One quiet evening, as Jiho finished treating a child's supposedly incurable illness, a familiar silver ship appeared in the sky. Unlike the warships from before, this one landed gently in his clinic's parking lot. "Your people are so resilient," she commented after they'd left. "Those guards had technology that could have destroyed this entire building, yet you treated them like any other patients." "That's the thing about humans," Jiho replied, helping her back to bed. "We adapt. We persist. Sometimes that's enough to change things." Ne Young touched the wall of her underground sanctuary, like hiding a royal fugitive in a basement. Exactly like that. They shared a smile, both aware of how unlikely their situation was. A small-town Earth doctor and an alien princess, sharing soup and stories, while battleships searched the stars above them. "Jiho," she said softly, using his first name for the first time. "Thank you. Not just for saving me, but for showing me a different way to live." Above them, the drones continued their endless search, but in that basement sanctuary, something new was growing. An understanding between two worlds that all the royal traditions couldn't have predicted. Thunder rolled across the Montana mountains as Jiho cleaned up after another busy clinic day. In the basement, Ne Young had grown strong enough to move around freely, though her silver blood still showed unusual readings on his medical equipment. That evening, as rain drummed against the small basement windows, Ne Young seemed unusually quiet. She paced the room, her silver eyes troubled, occasionally glancing at Jiho as if weighing a heavy decision. "There's something I need to show you," she finally said. "Something that explains why Prince Do-hyun wants me so desperately." Jiho set aside his medical charts. "I'm listening." Ne Young picked up a clean medical syringe from his supply tray. Before he could stop her, she pricked her finger, letting a drop of silver blood fall into an empty glass vial. The blood didn't pool like normal liquid. Instead, it danced and sparkled, catching light that wasn't there. "Watch," she whispered. Taking a wilted flower from a nearby vase, she let one drop of her blood touch its stem. The transformation was immediate. The flower straightened, its colors brightening, its petals becoming more vibrant than any natural bloom Jiho had ever seen. "That's incredible," he breathed, examining the flower. "Some kind of accelerated cellular regeneration." "More than that." Ne Young's voice was soft. "The royal bloodline of the Stellar Kingdom carries what your science might call genetic enhancement properties. We can permanently improve other living beings, make them stronger, faster, longer-lived." Jiho looked up sharply. "That's why the prince wants to marry you. For your blood." She nodded. "The ability is passed down through royal marriages. Do-hyun doesn't just want a wife. He wants to enhance his entire army. Imagine his metal soldiers, already fearsome, made nearly immortal by royal blood. But couldn't any royal do this? Why specifically you?" Ne Young's expression grew darker. "Because I'm the last of the pure bloodline. Others have diluted their power through political marriages. Mine," she hesitated, "mine is the strongest seen in generations." She demonstrated further, letting a drop of her blood fall into a pot of soil. Within minutes, a small plant sprouted and grew, achieving weeks of growth in moments. "We used to use this gift to help our people," she explained. "Heal the sick, strengthen the weak." But over centuries, the royal houses grew greedy. They hoarded the power, using it only to enhance their own positions. Jiho watched the plant continue to grow, his mind racing with medical possibilities. The ability to enhance genetic material at will. It could revolutionize medicine, cure diseases. Exactly. Ne Young's eyes lit up. That's what this gift was meant for. Helping others, not building armies. She paused, then added quietly, "It's why I had to run. I couldn't let this power be used for destruction." A drone passed overhead, its sensors sweeping the area. They waited in practiced silence until it passed. The enhanced flower seemed to glow faintly in the dim light. "There's more," Na-young continued. The blood bond, once given freely, creates a permanent connection. Do-hyun wouldn't just get my power. He'd be able to control how it's used. He could prevent me from ever helping anyone he didn't approve of. Jiho thought about the implications, so by running away, I'm protecting not just myself, but the last freely given blood bond in the Stellar Kingdom. She touched the glowing flower gently. The last chance to use this gift as it was meant to be used. The rain continued outside as they sat in thoughtful silence. Joe looked at his medical equipment, then at the miraculous plant, and finally at Na-young. All this time, I've been trying to treat your body with earth medicine, not knowing you carry something far more powerful in your veins. She smiled sadly. Your earth medicine, as you call it, has done more for me than all the power in my blood. You healed me without asking for anything in return. That's a kind of power my people have forgotten. The moment was interrupted by distant explosions, the royal search parties testing another sector of the mountains. Na-young's hand trembled slightly as she corked the vial containing her blood. They'll never stop looking, will they? Joe asked quietly. Not while I carry this power. She looked at him intently. Now you understand why Do-hyun sent his entire fleet. This isn't about a marriage contract anymore. It's about controlling the most powerful genetic enhancement force in known space. Jiho watched the enhanced flower continue to glow, its petals moving slightly even without wind. In its beauty, he saw both promise and danger, the possibility of incredible healing, and the threat of unstoppable armies. Your secret is safe here, he said firmly, for as long as you need. Na-young's silver eyes shimmered with gratitude. Outside, the storm continued to rage, helping to hide them from searching sensors, while in the basement clinic, an alien princess and a human doctor guarded a power that could change worlds. The morning sky above Montana filled with strange lights as massive ships broke through Earth's atmosphere. Most humans mistook them for unusual weather phenomena, but Jiho knew better. The Stellar Kingdom had escalated their search. Commander Kita's flagship hung visible even in daylight, its metallic surface reflecting the sun like a second moon. Jiho watched it through his clinic window while pretending to fill out paperwork. His nurse, Sunma, approached with a concerned look. Doctor, have you seen the news? The military says they're conducting atmospheric tests, but something feels wrong. Sun Mai had worked with Jiho for years, and he trusted her more than anyone. Sun Mi, I need to tell you something, but you have to promise to keep it secret. He closed the clinic's blinds. Our patient in the basement. She's not just any refugee. Sun Mai had helped care for their mysterious patient, believing her to be a political asylum seeker. Now, Jiho led her downstairs where Na-young waited. The princess's silver eyes met Sun Mi's, and the nurse gasped. She's not human, Sun Mai whispered, but her voice held wonder rather than fear. I am Princess Na-young of the Stellar Kingdom, Na-young said gently, and those ships above us are hunting me. Over the next hour, they explained everything to Sun Mi. To her credit, she took it remarkably well. So we're helping an alien princess escape an arranged marriage. That's actually not the strangest thing I've seen in this clinic. Their planning session was interrupted by the clinic's radio crackling to life. A voice spoke in the Stellar Kingdom's language, which Na-young translated with growing horror. Commander Kita is ordering all ships to begin systematic ground searches. They're done with orbital scans. She looked at Jiho desperately. They'll find me here. Not if we keep moving, Jiho said firmly. Sun Mi, do you still have that cabin by the lake? Sun Mi nodded. It's remote, barely accessible by road. Perfect for hiding. They worked quickly, gathering supplies and essential medical equipment. Na-young's wounds had healed, but she still needed monitoring. The sound of search vessels grew closer as they loaded Jiho's truck. Take the back roads, Sun Mi instructed. I'll stay here and keep the clinic running normally. Less suspicious that way. Then we'll just have to make sure you're healed before they do, Jiho replied, checking her latest test results. Your cellular regeneration is improving. A few more days, and you should be strong enough to move. Ne Young caught his hand. Why are you risking so much for me? They could destroy your clinic, your career, your life. Jiho considered the question seriously. Because it's the right thing to do. Because you're my patient. And because everyone deserves the chance to choose their own path. The princess stared at him for a long moment, then smiled, the first real smile he'd seen from her. The Stellar Kingdom could learn much from Earth's doctors, she said softly. Outside, the search vehicles moved on, their engines fading into the distance. But something had changed in that moment. The last barriers of royal protocol had fallen away, replaced by something far more valuable: trust. The basement of Jiho's clinic had always been used for storage, filled with old medical equipment and supplies. Now it served a far different purpose. He had transformed it into a hidden recovery ward, complete with a comfortable bed, monitoring equipment, and thick curtains to block any light from reaching the small windows. Ne Young sat propped up against pillows, watching as Jiho checked her latest blood readings. Her wounds were healing well, but the search for her had intensified. Every day, more drones swept through the valley, their sensors searching for any trace of alien technology. Tell me about him, Jiho said as he worked, hoping to distract her from the sounds of engines overhead. The prince you refused to marry. Ne Young's silver eyes darkened. Prince Du-hyun of the Metal Armies. He commands the largest military force in 3 star systems. The marriage was arranged when we were children, meant to unite our houses. But you didn't want that. Du-hyun believes in absolute control. His armies don't just fight. They consume. Every planet they conquer is stripped of resources, its people forced to work in his metal factories. She touched her healing side gently. He would have done the same to my people, using our royal bloodline to legitimize his rule. Jiho pulled up a chair, fascinated despite himself. Your people would have allowed that. Our traditions are absolute. Royal marriages are sacred contracts, never to be broken. She laughed bitterly. Even if the marriage destroys everything we're meant to protect. A drone passed particularly close to the clinic, its sensors humming. They waited in silence until it moved on. Jiho used the time to change Ne Young's bandages, noting how quickly her unusual physiology was healing. What about Earth marriages? She asked suddenly. Are they arranged too? Jiho smiled. Some cultures still practice arrangement, but most people here choose their own partners. We believe love should guide such decisions. Love, Ne Young tested the word carefully. The court scholars say love is a primitive emotion, that logical alliances are superior. And what do you think? She was quiet for a long time. I think your primitive emotions have created a world with more freedom than all our advanced logic. Their days fell into a pattern. During clinic hours, Jiho treated his regular patients upstairs. In the evenings, he would join Ne Young in the basement, bringing food and stories of Earth life. She was endlessly curious about human culture. You mean anyone can choose their own path? She asked one evening, amazed as Jiho described how he decided to become a doctor, without considering their house's traditions or bloodline duties. Most of us, yes. We believe everyone should have the chance to pursue their dreams. Ne Young absorbed this while eating the soup Jiho had brought. She had developed a particular fondness for human food, claiming it had more character than the nutritional compounds she was used to. In the Stellar Kingdom, every aspect of royal life is predetermined. The clothes we wear, the words we speak, even the thoughts we're allowed to think. She stirred her soup thoughtfully. Do you know I'd never worn anything but ceremonial robes until I came here? Jiho glanced at the simple earth clothes he'd found for her. Is that why you keep smiling at the t-shirts? They're so comfortable. Her joy at such a simple pleasure was endearing. No weighted gems, no ritual metals woven into every thread. Just cloth. Their conversations were interrupted occasionally by close calls. Once, a royal search party actually entered the clinic, claiming to be conducting a standard planetary survey. Jiho calmly treated them for supposed radiation exposure, while Ne Young hid in a shielded compartment he prepared. Their drive to the cabin was tense. Twice they had to pull off the road and hide under trees as search vessels passed overhead. Ne Young huddled in the back, covered with blankets that helped mask her unique biological signature. The cabin proved perfect, isolated, with thick woods providing cover. They arrived just as night fell, the searchlights from Kita's ships casting eerie shadows through the trees. Commander Kita was my combat instructor, Ne Young explained as they settled in. He knows how I think, how I move. That's why Du Hyun sent him. Jiho secured the windows while listening to distant search vessels. Then we'll have to think differently. Over the next few days, they developed a system. Sun Mai would work regular shifts at the clinic, gathering information about search patterns from gossiping patients. Jiho would officially be on call for remote emergencies, explaining his absences. They never stayed in one place too long, moving between Sun Mai's cabin, abandoned hunting lodges, and other safe houses. One close call came when a search party landed near the cabin. Ne Young and Jiho hid in a storm cellar while warriors in metallic armor searched above. Her hand gripped his tightly in the darkness. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I've dragged you both into terrible danger." "We chose to help," he reminded her. "That's what humans do." The search party eventually left, but the net was tightening. Commander Kita's announcements became more frequent, now promising rewards for information about unusual activities. Sun Mai proved invaluable, creating false trails and spreading misleading rumors among the townspeople. "I told Mrs. Parker I saw strange lights near the old mine," she reported during one supply run. Half the search ships headed that way. But they couldn't run forever. One evening, as they watched Kita's flagship pass overhead from their newest hiding spot, Ne Young made a difficult decision. "I need to leave Earth," she said quietly. "They're going to tear this planet apart looking for me. I can't let that happen." "You can't give yourself up," Jiho protested. "Du Hyun will use your power to hurt countless people. I don't plan to surrender." Ne Young's silver eyes gleamed with determination. "But I need to draw them away from here. Earth has shown me kindness. I won't repay that by bringing destruction." Before they could argue further, Sun Mai burst in. "They're coming." Someone reported suspicious activity. Multiple ships heading this way. They grabbed their emergency packs, practices making the evacuation smooth and quick. As they drove through the darkening woods, searchlights crisscrossing the sky above them, Jiho realized their time was running out. Soon, they would have to make a final stand. 3 unlikely allies against the might of an alien empire. Ne Young watched the searching ships through the truck's window, her expression resolved. Whatever came next would change everything, for Earth and the Stellar Kingdom alike. The abandoned mining office served as their final hiding place. Through its dusty windows, they could see Commander Kita's ships tightening their search pattern. They had perhaps hours left before discovery. Ne Young stood in the center of the room, her silver blood casting strange shadows in the dim light. Jiho and Sun Mai watched as she drew ancient symbols on the floor using her own blood. "What I'm about to do hasn't been done in 1,000 years, Ne Young explained, her voice tight with concentration. "The royal houses forbade sharing our power with outsiders after the Great Rebellion. You don't have to do this," Jiho said softly, but she shook her head. "I choose to do this. You saved my life, showed me kindness without asking anything in return. This gift, it's not just gratitude. It's a statement that the old ways must change." The symbols on the floor began to glow with an inner light. Ne Young's silver eyes seemed to shine brighter as she completed the circle. Outside, search vessels grew closer, their engines humming in the night air. "Jiho," she said formally, "step into the circle." Ne Young stepped out, no longer wearing royal robes but practical diplomatic attire. Her silver eyes sparkled with the same determination he remembered. "Dr. Han," She smiled, using his formal title for the waiting room full of patients. "I'm here to discuss an interstellar medical exchange program." Later, in private, they embraced like the old friends they were. Sun Li joined them, bringing coffee. Ne Young had developed quite a taste for it during her time on Earth. The council couldn't ignore the evidence anymore, Ne Young explained. Humans healing with abilities similar to royal blood, yet using it responsibly, ethically. It challenged everything they believed about keeping the power pure. Jiho's enhanced healing had spread subtly through blood donations and minor treatments, creating a small population of humans with accelerated healing abilities. All of them, following his example, used their gift to help others. They've abolished the forced marriage laws, Ne Young continued, and opened discussions about sharing our medical knowledge with Earth. Officially, of course, no one mentions the blood gift. Sun Li laughed. So all those strange equipment deliveries we've been getting. Stellar Kingdom technology, adapted for human use. Consider it a thank you for sheltering a runaway princess. The changes came gradually. Joe's clinic became a testing ground for combining human medicine with alien healing techniques. His enhanced abilities helped bridge the gap between technologies, showing how both worlds could work together. Ne Young visited regularly, officially as a diplomatic representative, unofficially as family. She brought news of reforms spreading through the Stellar Kingdom, ancient traditions giving way to new ideas about sharing knowledge and power. Prince Du Hyun's faction lost influence as more royal houses embraced change. The metal armies were disbanded, their resources turned to peaceful pursuits. Ne Young led the creation of new laws protecting individual choice in marriages and partnerships. Years passed. Jiho's enhanced longevity kept him young while others aged, but he used the time well. He trained a new generation of doctors who understood both human and alien healing arts. Some showed traces of enhanced abilities, passed down through his careful treatments. "You've created something remarkable," Ne Young told him during one visit, watching him teach young doctors. "A whole school of healing that bridges our worlds." Jiho smiled, touching the small vial of silver blood he always carried, a reminder of where it all began. "We created it together. Your courage to break tradition, my commitment to helping others." Earth changed too. Strange ships in the sky became normal. Alien medical techniques merged with human practices. The story of a princess who chose love and freedom over duty became legend, though few knew the true version. Decades later, Jiho still ran his clinic in the Montana mountains. His hair hadn't grayed. His hands remained steady. Sun Li's grandchildren now helped manage the practice, carrying on their grandmother's legacy of keeping necessary secrets. Ne Young's final reform was her boldest, officially acknowledging Earth as an equal partner in medical research. She established an exchange program, sending young royal healers to learn human medicine, while Earth doctors studied Stellar Kingdom techniques. "Did you ever imagine this?" she asked Jiho one evening, both of them watching students from two worlds share knowledge in his clinic. "That night when you found me in the snow, I was too busy trying to figure out how to treat silver blood," he joked. But they both knew the truth, that sometimes the greatest changes start with simple choices: to help, to trust, to share. The gift of royal blood still flowed through select human bloodlines, carefully monitored and ethically used. The Stellar Kingdom had learned that power grows stronger when shared wisely, while Earth had gained wonders beyond imagination. And in a small Montana clinic, a human doctor and an alien princess had proved that the strongest traditions are the ones that dare to change, and the greatest gifts are those given freely in the name of helping others. The Montana winter howled outside the small mountain clinic as Dr. Han Jiho finished organizing his medical supplies. The clock showed 11:30 p.m., and he looked forward to closing up for the night. His clinic, perched on the outskirts of a small town called Pine Ridge, usually saw few patients this late. A bright flash lit up the night sky, followed by a thunderous boom that rattled the windows. Joe rushed to the window, watching a burning object streak across the darkness. It wasn't a meteor. Its path was too controlled, too deliberate. The object disappeared behind the tree line, and a crash echoed through the valley. Jiho grabbed his emergency medical kit and truck keys. Whatever had fallen might need help. The old pickup truck groaned as he navigated the snowy mountain roads, following the trail of broken trees. His headlights caught glimpses of strange metal fragments scattered across the snow. The crash site spread across a small clearing. At its center lay what could only be described as a spacecraft. Its silver hull cracked open like an egg. Steam rose from the wreckage, melting the surrounding snow. Jiho approached carefully, his boots crunching in the fresh powder. "Hello," he called out. "Is anyone there? I'm a doctor. I can help." A weak moan answered him. Following the sound, he found her, a woman lying in the snow. But she wasn't human. Her skin had a pale lavender tint, and her hair shimmered with colors that seemed to shift in the moonlight. Most striking were her eyes, completely silver without pupils or irises. She wore what appeared to be formal attire, though now torn and bloodied. Intricate symbols were woven into the fabric, and a delicate crown-like headpiece lay broken beside her. Silver blood pooled beneath her body, creating strange patterns in the snow. "Please," she whispered in perfect English. "They mustn't find me." Jiho knelt beside her, medical training taking over. "I'm Dr. Han Jiho. You're badly injured. Let me help you." He assessed her injuries, multiple lacerations, possible internal bleeding, and a severe wound to her lower abdomen. Her anatomy was similar enough to human that he could recognize the severity, but different enough to make treatment challenging. "I am Mei Young," she managed between labored breaths, "princess of the Stellar Kingdom. I cannot return." Her silver eyes fixed on him with desperate intensity. Jiho worked quickly, applying pressure bandages to the worst wounds. "Your Highness, I need to get you to my clinic. Can you move?" She tried to sit up but collapsed with a cry of pain. Jiho noticed strange devices in the distance, moving through the sky in search patterns. Mei Young saw them too and grabbed his arm with surprising strength. "The search drones," she gasped. "They're looking for me. Please, you must hide me." Jiho made a split-second decision. Whatever political situation this princess was fleeing from, his duty as a doctor came first. He carefully lifted her, noting how surprisingly light she was despite her tall frame. Her silver blood stained his coat as he carried her to his truck. The drive back to the clinic was tense. Mei Young drifted in and out of consciousness, mumbling about arranged marriages and royal duties. Jiho kept checking his rearview mirror, watching for the search drones. At the clinic, he carried her inside through the back entrance. The examination room lights revealed the full extent of her injuries. Her alien physiology presented immediate challenges. Her blood seemed to react differently to his standard treatments, and her cellular structure was unlike anything he'd seen before. "Doctor," she said, regaining consciousness briefly, "your medicines, they may not work on me. In my ship, medical supplies." Jiho understood. "I'll go back for them, but first I need to stabilize you." He worked through the night, adapting his medical knowledge to her unique biology. The silver blood seemed to have some self-healing properties, but the trauma had overwhelmed its natural capabilities. He managed to stop the bleeding using a combination of conventional methods and careful observation of how her tissue responded.